This video is to explain the practice section of the study plan. There would be two reasons that you would want to do the practice within a study plan. One would be to actually practice the problems before you attempt the QuizMe, to make sure that you have the knowledge and ability to be successful on the QuizMe quiz to earn your mastery point. And the second would be, if you attempted the QuizMe and did not pass, you are actually forced to come and attempt a practice assignment, where you must complete at least one practice problem correctly before you are able to attempt the QuizMe section again. So to get into the practice for a given objective, go ahead and click on the. When you're in the Practice Me section, or the practice section, you will notice this is very different than the QuizMe section. First and foremost, you're going to see the learning aids over on the right hand side. These learning aids are absolutely key to your success in this class in learning the material. We'll go through each one of those individually in a moment. I also want you to notice that you can quickly navigate between the different types of problems on the top of the screen. Some practice sections will have multiple problems in multiple pages, others will have fewer. For instance, this has 8 different questions I can attempt. If there's a question that you're comfortable with and you know how to do it, go ahead and move on to a question that you're not comfortable with so you can get the help you need to be successful for this objective. Once you find the question that you do not understand and need help on, I suggest by first going to the learning aids rather than attempting the question. The first and most important learning aid, the one that I recommend using the most, is Help Me Solve This. What Help Me Solve This is it's going to help me work through this exact question right here, step by step, having me interact with it throughout. It'll have you enter answers throughout the solution of the problem. Once you attempt to enter an answer twice and get the wrong answer, it'll tell you what the correct answer is and move you on to the next part of the question. Once you have worked through the problem in entirety, you can close the problem and notice MyMathLab will automatically regenerate a new problem nearly identical to the one you did before for you to attempt on your own. So Help Me Solve This. It's a step-by-step solution guide interacting with you so you learn the material and how to solve the problem. View an example. View an example is like looking in a solutions manual, a student solution manual, with a detailed solution of the problem. The first thing you will notice is the problem is not exactly the same. It's a similar problem, but not identical. You will also notice as you go through it, it does all the work for you and tells you what to do without any knowledge or interaction from you. So this is just like viewing a solutions manual. The only reason I suggest clicking View an Example, if you noticed before, I entered an answer incorrectly in the QuizMe. If you do view an example and quickly scroll down to the end, the final answer is always given to you in the form that they want the answer. So for instance, here I'd realize they already put the brackets, I would need to put the numbers and put a comma in between the numbers. One of the main problems of MyMathLab is that, or difficulties in MyMathLab for students, is that they do not put their answers in the right form. I would use View an Example solely to quickly scroll down and see what form do they want the answer in. Learning does not take place when you read how someone else did the problem. That's why I highly suggest Help Me Solve This over View an Example. There's always going to be other resources available for you as well, and for each problem there's a different number of them available. For instance, this problem has video and textbook as examples or other learning aids. Video. Video provides a video lecture by an instructor working through a problem nearly identical to it. It's a step-by-step lecture, just like if you were in class, where you can pause, fast forward, and rewind to make sure you understand the steps one at a time. What I'd recommend doing is start the problem, start working through it, watch the video to see if you've done it correctly, and then continue on, rather than just watching the instructor lecture. textbook. What textbook is going to do is open up the ebook, the digital textbook, to the section that the objective is from. For instance, this was an objective from section 2.1. My book opens it to the beginning of section 2.1. It does not open it directly to where you want it to go. In other words, it does not go to the material covering that problem. It is up for you to navigate through to determine where's a problem similar to the one of the question, read the textbook, and try to figure out what's going on. So textbook brings you to the ebook, but not exactly where you need to go. It's up for you to find it. You may also have a button that says animation. Animation will bring up a lecture slideshow similar to the video, and it'll work through a lecture slideshow while you're listening to an instructor explain each step. Ask My Instructor. When you click on Ask My Instructor, it'll give the section number and the question and email it directly to your teacher. In this little box right here, you want to be as informative as possible to your instructor. Include things like what you understand about the problem, what you don't understand about the problem. Did you get an answer but it was just incorrect? Or you stuck on a step and you want particular help on a step? The more information you give, the faster and more accurately we can help you. The last button you will see on here is Print. I would suggest that you be careful with print because often it'll try to print this small problem on an entire page of paper, wasting ink and paper. Sometimes it's just easier to write out these problems by hand. But print can come useful in certain situations. For instance, if you're going to be taking a bus ride or be at work where you do not have access to a computer with internet access and MyMathLab access, you can easily print your problems ahead of time, work your problems out on paper, and then when you come back to the assignment and you have computer access, you can just quite simply quickly go through and enter the answers you did by hand. Another useful reason for print would be to print up the problem and take it to your teacher's office hours and ask for help, or to go to a math tutoring area such as the Math Solutions and bring them the problem and have them help you work through that identical problem. So these are the learning aids associated with practice. Make sure you're using these all the time. This is how you're going to learn the material throughout the class. I suggest Help Me Solve This first. Also, video lectures is a great way to get an explanation. So what is doing problems in Practice Me look? There are different problem types in MyMathLab. Some of the problems will just require you to put in an answer. Some of the problems will be multiple choice. Other problems will have multiple steps. Some of them may have you graph. There's all different things you can do. You can always enter math expressions. For instance, if you need fractions or any of the math symbols, over here on the left-hand side gives you everything that you need to type in your answer. You do not need to show your work with MyMathLab unless the instructor has requested you to do so. MyMathLab simply wants the answer. You do your work on your own, and then you put the correct answer in the box. When you attempt to put a correct answer in the box, you can hit enter, or you can click check answer at the bottom of the page. Notice that MyMathLab is going to give you a hint to try to get you on the right track. Notice the problem hasn't changed. I've only attempted one answer. You are typically allowed to attempt a question 3 times. Incorrect again. Incorrect again. After 3 attempts, it'll tell you what the correct answer is and what you actually put in as an answer. If you notice up here next to the problem, you'll see a red X mark indicating that I got this problem incorrect. Remember, to be able to attempt the Quiz Me, you need to get the problem, at least one problem, correct. So, there's only 8 problems. What happens if I fail them all? Well, the nice thing about MyMathLab is you can attempt this problem as many times as you want. If you click Similar Exercise, The same problem will reload with just a little bit different numbers to it. Now you can attempt this question 3 times just like the previous. You can do this as many times as necessary using the learning aids to help you master this topic. When you get an answer correct, it'll tell you by showing you a green check mark. Go ahead and click OK, and then you notice next to the number you'll see a green check mark indicating that you've gotten the answer correct. As long as you've gotten one answer correct, you can go back into the QuizMe and attempt the QuizMe again. However, I strongly recommend that you go through and do more examples of each question that you do not know how to do. Learn all the material necessary. At least view each question and attempt each question once to make sure you understand all the material necessary for that objective. Once you're comfortable with the material in the practice, you can close out, and going back to the study plan, you'll notice the QuizMe button is now available and you can attempt QuizMe again. So that's an overview of practice. It has the learning aids. You can attempt as many problems as you want. It does not affect your grade at all. It's where you're going to do all the learning and make sure you understand the problem for the course. You will often have to go between QuizMe, practice multiple times if you do not pass that QuizMe quiz the next time. That concludes our video on the practice part of QuizMe.